It's the battle of Christmas and Mao Zedong's birthday in China. This is Xi Jinping is forced to choose between the guy who almost killed his dad or destroy his stability of power. Meanwhile, state television intentionally broadcasted a segment insinuating Mao Zedong. On the 130th birthday of the evil man Mao Zedong, China goes haywire. Welcome to China Insider, I'm David Zhang. Another episode for only things that happens in communist China. Now, CCTV, the state television broadcaster, they aired a 5-minute segment about cured meat. Now, there's a long-standing meme about Mao Zedong being dead for so long that he's still kept in a clear casket for people to see that he's become a piece of cured meat. And so the saying goes, time to eat cured meat Mao. Now, this is clearly insinuating Mao Zedong on his birthday, and it's totally hilarious. And obviously, no one dares to say this openly in public, but Mao's nickname is Cured Meat Mao, or Dried Meat Mao. And because where Mao Zedong is from in China, they usually smoke the meat and cure it in the wintertime. And so the CCTV, which is a state media again, broadcast a segment right after commemorating Mao Zedong on his 130th birthday. And that's embarrassing. I say this is done intentionally, because there's no such way in which a meme being around for so long, so commonly known in China, will be led on by state media, allowed by the producers of their night programming. And then, of course, that segment was later edited out. But this comes just days ago when we were talking about the Chinese chef Wang Gang, who famously made fried rice videos that happened to be on and around the day of the death anniversary of Mao Zedong's son, who, of course, was hungry. He started cooking fried rice during the Korean War, but the smoke revealed his location, and then he was bombed to death. And so I guess food really is a politically sensitive topic in China. Now, what else happened? Well, it seems that Santa will have to fight against Mao for the spot in people's holiday calendar in China. Now, Christmas to us in the West is a time of celebrating the birth of Christ, or if you aren't Christian, it's still a meaningful end to the year, right? Time for your family, but apparently not in China because it's a foreign holiday. Starring Devil Mao, who was born on December 26th and decided to murder tens of millions of Chinese people, but today there are still people who commemorate his death or his aliveness. I guess the redness from China won't be from Santa's clothing, but the bloody hands of Mao Zedong. And it becomes this big deal in China, right? People are parading on the street saying that no Christmas allowed, only Mao's birthday. And again, that's a day after Christmas. So I guess in the eyes of the communist youth, Mao can really turn water into wine, and Mao can resurrect after 3 days, not Jesus. Clearly, they're messed up in the head. But worshipping the demonic man who murdered so many people in his brutal reign is like worshipping Satan. Well, because communism is like an evil cult to begin with, Karl Marx himself was a devil worshipper. Anyways, Christmas represents freedom, religion, Western values in abundance, something clearly rejected in the eyes of the CCP. Millions of Christians in China still face brutal persecution and state control on their churches and faith. And many churches in China on Christmas Day, they're heavily guarded by police. Now, even when I was little, I remember foreign holidays were a thing of downplayed very much, like Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, because they carried so much meaning opposite that of communism, especially if they come close with something like a political sensitive date like December 26th, which of course is Mao's birthday. Now this year, 130th, it's an unspoken tradition for communist leadership for every 10th year to come and bow to Mao. Now, Xi Jinping led his top communist cadres in commemorating Mao. He also gave a speech which talked about reunifying with Taiwan. It again shows us that he will do so with force or without. But in the speech, he tried to compare himself to Mao Zedong in terms of greatest achievement, downplaying all of the people before him. But the irony here is that Xi Jinping's father, Xi Zhongshun, almost died at the hands of Mao Zedong during the Cultural Revolution, or prior to it, when Xi Sr. was branded as an anti-party force and was forced to self-criticize in 1965, which is a year before the Cultural Revolution. But today, Xi Jinping and other offsprings of who once were Mao's political enemies, they're bowing in front of Mao. Now, the reason is, of course, very clear. In the eyes of Xi Jinping, he's repeating the steps of Mao Zedong. He's concentrating power, political ruling above all rational decisions, using power struggle for breakfast, anti-corruption for lunch, and purging military generals for dinner. Even if Xi Jinping deep down hates Mao Zedong for whatever he did to his father, he cannot walk back, because that would mean losing power, losing his base of stability. Now, this is the nature of communism, right? An eternal struggle against itself, against the world, against other people, against human nature and natural law. But at the same time, Chinese propaganda is like drived up to 10 for painting Christmas as the date that the Chinese soldiers during the Korean War pushed American Allied forces back in the Battle of Lake Chaosen or Lake Changjin. And December 24th is painted as the eve of peace, completely abandoning the biblical origin in favor of something they created, which is the day that sort of concluded the battle. Now, this is becoming a battle of ideology for Christ's birthday versus that of a communist version. There are even signs in China that says, today in China, there's no longer Christmas, only Lake Chaosen. On Christmas Day, China's top economic media, Caixin, sort of like China's version of Wall Street Journal, they published an editorial piece. Now, this comes just a month after Caixin published another article when Premier Li Keqiang died. This is titled Editorial Revisiting the Principle of Seeking Truth from Facts. Now, the article is a protest at the current state of China and the Mao-style power. Now, it was deleted hours after publishing. Before we continue, here is a sponsor segment. It is still the Christmas and New Year sale at Blueberry Creative, where some of the best products are on sale for the lowest price of the year. Now, including things like one of my favorite tea, the Taiwan High Mountain Tea, is right now on sale for a great price, as well as some of the gift sets, including the Sohuasu Comforting Balance gift set, as well as Estee Lauder's Night Care Routine set. This deal will only last till midnight of January 3rd. And like I said, this is the lowest price of the year. So make sure if you're still looking for some great gifts to give to your families, this is the time to get it. And for everything else, you can still use the discount David for a 50% off, as well as if you're in the US, you spend $70 or more, you can still receive free shipping. But from the title alone, we can already tell that this is a criticism of Xi Jinping. It's walking away from reform and opening up. In the article, it says, quote, during the Cultural Revolution, the national economy was on the verge of collapse, but officials still insisted that the situation was excellent and getting better and better. In fact, people's livelihood was in dire straits, and poverty and backwardness not only widened the gap with developed countries, but also was being neighboring countries and regions that have taken off are far behind. Of course, this is clearly opposite of the reform and opening up that was taking place in China. Now Xi Jinping is repeating the same path as Mao. As I said in the beginning, the other side would mean that he would lose his power. Now, because the economy is doing so bad in China, there's clear pushbacks within the party too. Xi Jinping's approach is to continue to pretend like nothing is wrong, nothing is bad in the economy, just as it was this pretending in Mao's time. The article basically says that the party should be realistic, and that was the core value of Deng Xiaoping. And of course, now Xi Jinping is doing the opposite again. Now, a Chinese economist named Li Xunlei published an article on the same day as Mao's birthday, and it was quickly deleted again. Now, the article cited a 2021 study by Beijing Normal University that says China's population with a monthly income of less than 2,000 yuan is approximately 964 million people. 964 million people, that's about 68% of China's 1.4 billion people. So clearly after COVID, it's much less than 1.4 billion. But 2,000 yuan also is only 280 US dollars. So that's a huge poverty gap with the rest of the world. This well-known scholar also titled it, Is it easier to go up the mountain than to go down? Looking at the economy from a demand side. Now, this, even though the article was deleted, the topic quickly reached the top of the hot search list on Weibo. And because, again, this is very consistent with what Li Keqiang said previously, that in a statement that said 600 million people in China have a monthly income of 1,000 yuan. Now, we know that the economy is taking the backseat to the order of the regime, but imagine this is all taking place on Christmas Day or around it. So you see, there's a clear divide, right? On one side, you have this, right? So on Christmas Day, there was a discussion that took place on Chinese social media, Weibo. People basically were recalling their grandparents' and parents' experience during the Great Famine in China. Now, the person writes here, he says that his son asked why his grandparents, great-grandparents died from esophageal cancer and was shocked to learn that people couldn't get food during that time. And this person also said that her own grandma's families all died on the eve of Chinese New Year in 1959 due to starvation. Of course, others also followed where their own family stories said that how their grandparents died from starvation while their parents were young. And this all took place in the year of 1959 or 1960. And of course, there were cannibalisms happening all over the place, and people had to eat fodders for livestock to stay alive. So you could say that the side of the knowing in China is that this year there's a representation of sort of what's going to take place in the future of China if we continue to walk down this path. But then you also have the other side, which is people parading in the streets with Mao portraits, with communist flags, saying that we must resolutely follow what's taking place in China going forward. And so you have that one side who is fed up and angry, but then you still have the other side who's blindly following whatever path the CCP is walking on. And so that's why I say there's a battle between Santa and Mao, even though both of them, you could say they're being mystified in China. One being downplayed, the other one is still kept as this sort of Jesus-like figure. And where do you see China going from this point? And that's the interesting takeaway from this Christmas in China. All right, that's it today for the episode where we sort of summarize what's taking place around Christmas in China. And if you enjoy the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel today. Also, make sure to check out the sale on Blueberry Creative, which is still ongoing till January 3rd, for some of the best discounts on great products for the entire year. All right, until next time, bye-bye.